Greetings to everyone out there in the NoDQ galaxy. Welcome to the first of 2 live streams here on NoDQ's YouTube channel. Today, of course, is August 31st, 2019, and it has already been quite the day already. And we still have AEW's All Out pay-per-view coming up in just a few hours. So make sure you check out the second live stream. I will be recapping AEW All Out. Greetings to everyone out there in the chat room. I appreciate your viewership, whether you're watching live or on demand. Just a quick note, the NoDQ Super Chat Championship is on the line here. $5 Super Chat or more will make you the new reigning and defending NoDQ Super Chat Champion. It will be on the line all evening tonight. We'll see what happens with that. Let's go ahead and talk about Starrcast first of all. CM Punk made his big appearance, his shoot interview with Mike Johnson of PW Insider. CM Punk right away was asked about the whole scenario with AEW, the rumors about him possibly being on the show. CM Punk was asked about if he's going to come back to wrestling. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat, going completely off topic. Please don't do this, guys. He says, is Virtue more over than EC3? No. Thank you for the super chat. CM Punk answered the question right away. He got right to the point, and maybe this was done by design just to get it done, get it over with. CM Punk said that it was flattering that people still ask about him and wonder if he's coming back, them chanting his name. He said it's a testament to his accomplishments in the wrestling business. And he said that, quite frankly, he's done it all. He said he feels pretty fortunate that he's been able to do what he wanted to do in wrestling and have people still talking about him after all these years. He did thank everybody for their support. But with that being said, he noted that he is not going to be going anywhere. Meaning he's not going to AEW, he's not going to be an All Out, he's not going back to WWE. He is not doing anything wrestling related. So do you believe CM Punk or not? That's up for you to decide. And here's my take on it. From watching this interview, I think the answer is no. I don't think we're going to see him at All Out. I would be very pleasantly surprised if he does show up, but I don't think he's going to be there. I don't think he's going to be at AEW's TNT debut. And if he doesn't appear at either show, I think he's really done. I think he has moved on from wrestling. I think he was very sincere with his comments. I think he does appreciate what wrestling has done for him. But at the same time, I think he has gotten over it. Based off of everything he said during this interview, it sounded to me like somebody who has accepted the way things are and is at peace with everything and is just in a different place in his life. He said he has a prior commitment. Again, do you believe it or not? We'll see. Maybe he does show up tonight. Maybe he shows up on the AEW TNT debut. I mean, if he's gonna come back either tonight or that debut on October 2nd, those are the 2 times that would make sense. After that, his appearance isn't gonna make as much of an impact, because this is what it's all about. You got AEW's biggest pay-per-view to date in Chicago, and then you have their TNT debut, which is really critical. You would think if he was going to show up, this would be the time. He did talk about some other things. He did talk about his movie roles. He talked about Steve Austin and how there was a small moment of time where it felt to CM Punk like there could have been a match between him and Steve Austin, but it just wasn't meant to be. And I do remember back around 2010, 2011, that little backstage confrontation between Austin and Punk. I think that what's funny is I think if Steve Austin wanted to wrestle again and said, hey, CM Punk, let's do a match, I feel like CM Punk would come back for that. I mean, based off of what he said, like, he has done pretty much everything, but he never got to face Steve Austin. And I don't know. I don't think Saudi Arabia is going to be able to convince either of those guys to come out of retirement. But if somebody out there was willing to pay Steve Austin and CM Punk like $5 million each or some crazy amount of money, I think CM Punk would come back. But that might be the only thing that would bring him back, like a dream match with somebody like Steve Austin. One interesting part of the interview was when Mike Johnson talked about WWE stars getting time off, and CM Punk legitimately seemed surprised by that. And he did say that that is a step in the right direction, but CM Punk also argued the idea of WWE having an off season, the idea that they have so many people under contract that they could cycle them in and out, 6 months in, 6 months out, bring in new guys, which I wonder if someday it will happen. Like, I don't know if it's going to happen under Vince McMahon's watch. I mean, we've talked about this before over the past couple of years. I mean, people ask me the questions about an off season. I don't think Vince is going to mess with his formula. Doing the 365 days a year, every single week, that's what Vince knows. And as we all know, Vince likes to stick to his formula, what works for him. But I see a big upside with doing an off season with so many people under contract now, because you can give guys a chance to rest, and also it allows people to freshen up their characters and not get stale as quickly, because they come in 6 months and then they're gone 6 months. And as they say, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Those guys come back after 6 months of being gone, they're fresh faces again. So I definitely see the upsides in it, and I do think it could work. I just don't know if it's ever going to happen under Vince McMahon's watch. And Punk was asked if there was anything WWE could have done different when CM Punk was on his way out, and he's like, well, they could have just effing talked to me. So clearly, I mean, based off of what CM Punk said in the podcast with Colt Cabana, I mean, he was pretty much doubling down here, just a lack of communication between the two sides. Oh, and CM Punk also mentioned that WWE needs better doctors, but he was really careful about his choice of words. Like, he even said during this interview that he doesn't want to get sued. He's tired of being sued. And I think there was even a point where he was saying something and Mike Johnson was like, all right, let's just move on from that. You know, knowing you don't want to say too much that could potentially get Punk in trouble. I know you would think he would be able to say whatever he wants, free speech or whatnot, but, you know, the guy's right. He's been sued, and some people out there are pretty petty and will sue over just about anything. CM Punk talked about the match with Undertaker at WrestleMania, and he said that that was really the point where he realized he wasn't going to be the number one guy. He wasn't going to be the main event guy. So he was just focused on getting the biggest paycheck possible. He said he had nothing against Undertaker, nothing against the match, wasn't mad about it, and he did enjoy the match. He did talk about how he is his own biggest critic, how he doesn't like the sound of his voice, how he looks, etc., which totally understandable. I mean, I definitely know where he's coming from with that. I know personally I hate the sound of my voice, but I know I'm not the only one. I know a lot of people feel the same way. You just got to do what you got to do. He talked about Harley Race, told some stories about Race. He did some great imitations, like his John Laurinaitis imitation, his Harley Race imitation. Later, he did a Tony Atlas imitation. Punk could probably make a living just doing wrestler imitations. He told a story about how he had to drive Race home. Race had been drinking and ended up throwing up in his car. That was a fun story. Talked about Ring of Honor, working with Samoa Joe. Punk said he was hoping that Samoa Joe was doing well and was happy in WWE. And then he talked about Tony Atlas and how they had heat way back, probably 6-7 years ago. I guess Punk was, I think it was FCW before NXT got going there. And Tony Atlas was there, and basically Atlas was talking down to CM Punk, even though Punk was already on the main roster. So Atlas was basically treating him like a rookie. And yeah, the imitation he did of Atlas was great. I can't do it, but it was a funny segment. And he said that he just wanted to make it clear they don't have heat anymore. And then Punk noted that some people would try to get him in trouble by basically tattling to Vince about what was going on between Punk and Tony Atlas. And, you know, Tony Atlas is an old school guy going back to the old days of the WWF, you know, one of Vince's favorites, I'm sure. Punk also talked about, Triple H and Vince McMahon, saying that he felt like neither of them really understood him, and that's something I definitely believe. I would think Vince, especially, probably Triple H too. I mean, the whole skinny fat ass line that Triple H used about CM Punk. I mean, yeah, I'm guessing neither of them really got the character, and they were probably wondering like, why is this guy getting these reactions? And probably today they're still like, why do the fans chant his name? Why do they care about this guy that walked out on them? Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, did he talk about Colt Cabana? Not from what I saw, and I didn't catch everything in the interview because it cut into the NXT TakeOver, which I will be talking about in a few minutes here. Mr. Anderson, did he talk about AJ Lee? Not really, just did mention that he wanted to spend time with her, and that was one of his focal points. He was wearing AJ's t-shirt. He also talked about The Rock, talked about the Royal Rumble stuff, talked about when The Rock called CM Punk at the Staples Center. I was there for that. That was Fighting with My Family when they were filming the big finale segment, the match between Paige and AJ Lee. And The Rock was there, and The Rock was trying to get the live crowd worked up for the scenes. And then the fans started chanting CM Punk, and that's when The Rock decided on the fly, just for the hell of it, to grab out his phone and call CM Punk there. And I got a video clip of it that was pretty much blowing up on Twitter at the time. But yeah, CM Punk was called, but he didn't answer. He said he was out walking his dog, and he got something like 87 missed messages from people, and he thought somebody had died because he got all these messages, and yeah, he didn't even know what was going on at Staples Center. There was another funny moment. CM Punk was praising Kofi Kingston, talking about how Kofi should have been champion a decade ago, but the positive of it is that Kofi's kids got to see him become champion. Punk said he's not familiar with the New Day's pancakes routine. Of course, that would be understandable if he's not really following the WWE product. Probably just heard that Kofi won the championship. Christopher Mace, Chris Mace with a $5 super chat is the brand new via the Roddy Piper sleeper hold is the new NoDQ's super chat champion of the world. He says, me, Stefan, and Jerry, the new trio's super chat champion. And does this finally silence people about a CM Punk return? Well, there you go. So him, Stefan Osborne, and Jerry Slaughter are all the NoDQ super chat champion. 3 people holding the championship. That is crazy. I don't think it's going to silence people as far as a CM Punk return goes. I just think people will continue to talk about it. And they will tonight. They will on October 2nd. I think after that, if CM Punk doesn't show up, I think it's going to die down. And it really should by that point. Because like I said earlier, tonight and October 2nd, those are the big opportunities for him to come in and make the biggest noise. But then again, maybe he doesn't want to come in when it's obvious. Maybe if he was going to come back, maybe he would want to come back at some random time. And he pretty much finished up the interview. He did praise John Cena also, talked about how Cena would let him do whatever he wanted in the ring, praised Money in the Bank, said that Cena let Punk carry the match. So he was very positive about John Cena. And he finished up by saying that fans, they don't have to pick a side, you know. They can watch whatever they want and they can enjoy whatever they want, and don't let the whole us versus them campaign ruin wrestling for fans. Just enjoy whatever you want, watch whatever you want. And then Punk kept joking about going on vacation. He said that earlier in the interview. He said that if WWE wanted to talk to him, he would not just ignore them. He would talk to them. But he joked about how, like, if they did contact him, the first thing he would do would be to ask for vacation time, since it's now a thing that he found out about during the interview. And he joked when the segment was over, it went pretty long. I mean, it went almost 2 hours. And he said he needs a vacation now that this interview's done. Power Packers 90 with a $2 super chat says, I was there. He came off as a nice and chill guy. Yeah, I mean, I definitely got a good vibe from him during the video. He talked about how he's at peace with everything. You know, he's very zen these days. And he made a great point about like how people get worked up over little things. And he mentioned how like when somebody drives really fast on the road and passes you, I mean, there's no point in getting angry. Most likely you're going to run into them at the red light. That guy's not going to get anywhere. So yeah, he seems to be in a very good place in his life and at peace. And I'm happy for the guy. And I thought it was a good interview overall. Maybe not what people were hoping for as far as like the really juicy stuff, like maybe saying something scandalous. I mean, he was just straightforward. He answered the questions honestly, I thought. And my gut feeling is we're not going to see him. I would be very, very happy if he did show up, but I'm not expecting it, and I don't think anybody else should expect it at this point. So that was the CM Punk interview from Starrcast, and it is available on Fight TV. I think it's like $30 for the package, or you might be able to buy it for $10 on its own. I'm not sure how it works exactly, but go to Fight TV, fight.tv, and you can check out the replay of it and check out the other events from Starrcast. They have all the panels, the Q&As, and whatnot. Now, let's move on to NXT UK Cardiff. Now, let me preface this by saying that I have not been watching NXT UK, so I'm coming into this not knowing anything about the characters or the storylines, but the last one, I believe it was in January. I thought it was a great show, so figured I would watch this and see what they're all about. The first match was Noam Dar, who I do know from 205 Live, against Travis Banks. And before I get to the recap of this, shout out to anybody watching this for the first time. I hope you're enjoying the video. If you do, please click on that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you can get the latest updates. Also, to those of you that would like to support the website and or the channel, go to NoDQ.com/merch. You can pick up a NoDQ.com hat or various t-shirts. 21% off. That's right, not 20%, 21% off over at NoDQ.com/merch through Tuesday. Use the code Labor Day. Labor Day is the code. Get yourself 21% off, all one word, Labor Day, NoDQ.com/merch. Enough of the shilling. Let's get back to the review. So not much to say about Noam Dar versus Travis Banks. I mean, I thought it was a pretty standard match. Good stuff, good opener. Wasn't like an all-time classic or anything, but it was good. Good, solid match to kick off the pay-per-view. Noam Dar won with a standing shining wizard, I believe. We had Cesaro come out for an open challenge. Well, actually, he did his promo backstage, talking about how he was looking for a fight, and I'm going to butcher this name, I'm sure. So I'm not even sure how to pronounce his first name. Iija Dragunov, I think is his last name, Russian guy. He accepted the challenge. I know nothing about this guy. So this match is a real testament to Cesaro, because I thought this match was awesome. I thought Cesaro did a tremendous job of making this guy look like $1 million. I mean, Cesaro was on fire here. He did the Cesaro swing for 40 seconds, and the crowd was chanting every single rotation. They were kind of like not in sync with the rotations, but basically 40 seconds of doing the Cesaro swing. I don't know the exact number of rotations, probably like 30 something, but you know, the crowd was chanting along with the swinging, and Cesaro did all these cool moves, and Dragunov kept coming back, and it was a great example of the veteran versus the younger guy, and making the younger guy look like he can hang with the veteran. I mean, this was like Ric Flair versus Sting from the first Clash of Champions, where you have the newcomer going in there with the pro and holding his own. Very similar to Roman Reigns and Buddy Murphy from a few weeks ago. I mean, this was probably even better done than that match. I mean, that's a real testament to Cesaro and how good he is. So if you guys haven't seen this match, definitely check it out. But I would say watch the whole pay-per-view. The only matches, well, I'll talk about at the end, like if there are any skippable matches, but definitely not this one. I would check it out. Crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." Cesaro eventually won with the neutralizer, which totally fine finish because Cesaro is the veteran, and the young guy, even though he came up short, he put up a hell of a fight, and that's a great story. When you can build a star, people see that this guy has some real potential and that eventually he can be a top guy. So yeah, I thought that this was very well done. Hats off to Cesaro for putting on a great performance. Love all the uppercuts. I mean, these guys worked a great match, and Cesaro's awesome. So next up, we had the tag team titles match. We had Zach Gibson and James Drake against Mark Andrews and Flash Webster, and then Mark Coffey and Wolfgang, triple threat match for the UK tag team titles. Another really good match here, and Andrews in particular, I thought was the star of the match. I thought he did a great job here. He was the highlight reel of the match, and he was taking a lot of the punishment in the match too. So I would say he was like the Jeff Hardy. You know, if this was like a throwback to maybe like a classic feud of the Dudleys versus Edge and Christian versus the Hardys. I mean, I would definitely say Mark Andrews was the Jeff Hardy of this match, doing all the crazy stuff, taking all the punishment. He was the star. Crowd went absolutely nuts for the finish. Andrews hit his fall to pieces finisher and then put Gibson on top of Webster. Crowd just erupted. They were so happy to see a tag title change here. Nice feel-good moment for the show. Big thumbs up for this. I would definitely check it out as I would check out Cesaro versus Dragunov. Next up, we had another great match, third one in a row. Dave Mastiff versus Joe Coffey in a last man standing match. I do remember Dave Mastiff from the last pay-per-view. He has this Vader look to him. He just has like a general old school wrestler look to him, like just the old brawler type. He's great. I love him. And this match was intense. I mean, they broke the turnbuckle like within the first minute of the match. Mastiff launched Kofi into the corner. The turnbuckle broke. Crowd started chanting ECW. This was everything you wanted to see. Like when these guys came out and they had the chain, I was thinking to myself, this is going to be an awesome match. You got these two big, tough-looking guys. They're going to beat the shit out of each other. And that's exactly what they did. I mean, it was everything you would want to see. I mean, again, this is the kind of match that Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman should have had 2 years ago at No Mercy. Like, this should have been the match where just two big monsters just destroying each other with weapons and just tons of violence and carnage. That match was such a disappointment. Like, why can we not get that on the main roster, especially your main event? Lesnar and Strowman, like, to this day, I still don't know why that match was such a letdown at No Mercy. I mean, that was one of the biggest disappointments. Like, that is what we should have seen. We should have seen what this match had back then for Lesnar and Strowman. But anyways, these guys did it right. This was a great brawl between the Irresistible Force versus the Immovable Object. They fought in the crowd. They had a cool sequence where they each had a steel chair and then they rammed into each other like a jousting match. They ended up by the announcer's set. They climbed up to the top of the platform. They both fell off through two tables, and then last second, as they were both getting up for the count of 10, right at 9, Kofi knocked Mystique down and picked up the victory. Great match here. I really enjoyed it. Just a great old school pro wrestling brawl, you know. Very, very much a throwback to the old days. And it's nice when you have a really great match that wasn't about near falls. You know, every match is kicking out at 2 9/10 and so on and so forth. So this was a nice little change of pace. I really liked it a lot. Next up, we had the women's title match, which was a bit of a slowdown. I don't know what it is about the women's matches on these TakeOver pay-per-views. They always seem to get like the worst placement, and they're not able to live up to the other matches. And, you know, I don't think it's the women per se. I just think they're put in a bad spot on the card, where at some point you got to have like a breather match for the fans to calm down, go to the concession stands and whatnot. So unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of heat for this one. I think because the fans were a little burned out and they wanted to save their energy for the main event. Toni Storm versus Kaylee Ray. I know nothing about Kaylee Ray, nothing about her at all. I didn't expect her to win the women's championship, but she ended up winning it. She kicked out of Storm Zero and then hit 3 gory bombs. Second one was into the ring ropes, and then the third one she hit in the center of the ring. Pretty short match and pretty anticlimactic in my opinion. So, I mean, this was with the opening match. I mean, the opening match was good, but, you know, didn't stand out compared to the 3 matches that it preceded. This match had those 3 matches to follow and just couldn't live up to those previous 3 matches. So yeah, it was all right, but nothing special. Kind of a flat title change in my opinion. Kind of felt like an unnecessary title change, but then again, I haven't been watching the NXT UK shows, so maybe there was a good storyline reason for this. I don't know, but to me, as a casual viewer watching this, felt flat. So I don't know what happened here. We had the main event, which was for the NXT World Championship. Walter, or Water, as we remember from his debut when he was standing in front of the L. Walter versus Tyler Bate for the NXT World title. Crowd was singing something. They were singing a lot of different things during this match, and the show for that matter. The only thing that I caught, like there's one chant about Andrews and the shoes. I don't even know what that is. But we had, there was one chant I did catch, which was Walter is a wanker. That was fun. And then I thought they started chanting the song they sing for Bailey, but with Tyler Bate. I want to know if you'll be my boy. I think that's what they were singing, but I'm not even sure. I guess that's his nickname. He's the BOI or something, Big Strong Boy, something like that. This match was epic. I mean, it was 45 minutes, very long by WWE standards. I mean, when was, other than an Iron Man match, a 45-minute match on WWE television or pay-per-view? It's been a while. Maybe one of the Hell in a Cell matches, but we don't see 45-minute matches in WWE that often. John Schlosser with a $2 super chat says, Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley Last Man was great as well. I agree on that, John. That was another good, solid big man versus big man match. Again, I think I said it at the time. That's what that match that Lashley and Strowman had was what Lesnar and Strowman should have had. So one really great thing about this match was they took their time and every spot meant something. And it was one of the best, and I dare say maybe the best big man versus little man match I've ever seen in terms of execution. They got a great reaction out of doing less. And one example here is Walter would dominate for a while, and then Tyler Bate would start to come back. He'd try to pick him up but fail. And then when Bate finally got up Walter, he got him up for a body slam, and the crowd popped huge for it. I thought that was awesome. At All Out tonight, we're going to see the Young Bucks doing 1 billion flips to get the crowd giving them a standing ovation. These guys did a friggin' body slam and got the crowd red hot. That's awesome. When you can get that kind of reaction doing something so simple as a body slam, you know you got something good going. You know you got some really good psychology in the match. So I loved it. I love the fact that they were reacting to this match and they were reacting to the big spots. I think Bate did a suplex also, which got a huge reaction. I loved it. I thought that this was really well done. Walter was putting him in submissions, stretching him. Just a great big man versus little man match. Bate even did a little tribute to Pete Dunne with the fingers. And man, there were so many near falls in this match. I mean, it was crazy. I kept thinking it was going to be over, and it wasn't. They just kept going. Bate hit all of his big moves. Walter kept kicking out of everything. Walter came back, would hit his big moves. Bate hit a Tiger 97 driver. He hit a corkscrew senton. He had all these moves, a burning hammer, which the crowd erupted for. And one good thing, again, with the psychology here and the storytelling, you know, Bate having to pick up Walter. Walter's a huge guy. So Bate gets him up, slams him down with a burning hammer, but then it takes all of his energy away. He cannot pin the guy, and Walter's able to roll to the outside of the ring. Just great stuff here. I mean, really good storytelling in this match. Walter hit his big splash. Bate kicked out of that. I mean, this was just back and forth. And just when you thought it was over, it wasn't. They kept going. And I was invested in it. It wasn't like I was feeling like, oh, come on, guys, just end the match already. Like, I was curious to see how long this was going to go. And I was feeling it with the fans. You know, they were chanting "Fight Forever." And I was like, I want to see what these guys can do. Just keep going. I mean, again, why don't we see this stuff on the main roster, though? Like, shouldn't we be getting this match at WrestleMania in the main event? Why don't we get these matches at WrestleMania? That's like the big question here. Why are we getting it on a pay-per-view that very few people are watching with guys that people don't know? Let's see these types of matches on the main roster. This is like a WrestleMania caliber match here that we should be seeing at WrestleMania, for crying out loud. Instead, we get our little 5-minute matches at WrestleMania, and we just don't get these epic matches, you know? The best matches should be at the biggest pay-per-views, and we don't get that, which is, again, probably Triple H's philosophy versus Vince's philosophy, and Vince just doesn't want to do it. Why, I don't know, but it's Vince's company, and he's a genius, as everybody says, and he knows wrestling better than the rest of us, so gotta take Vince's word for it. So a really cool moment at the end here, just when you thought that maybe it was over, you know, Pete Dunne's not going to win the title. Walter hit a power bomb, and Bate kicked out at 1. Crowd just erupted like crazy at this point, thinking Bate was going to somehow win this match. I thought this was really cool. Basically what it was Bate had this last little moment of adrenaline, and he got up, but Walter quickly hit him with a lariat and scored the 1-2-3 pinfall victory. Man, if Tyler Bate had won this match, I mean, the roof probably would have literally blown off of this place. I mean, it would have been like the most epic of epic reactions. But I'm fine with Walter retaining, because ultimately, big guy versus little guy, I tend to believe the big guy is going to win. I did like that little last bit of energy, you know, kicking out at the 1, like he had one last little bit of energy left. I thought that was really well done. And again, Tyler Bate looked very strong in defeat, so it's okay for him to lose here. He got a standing ovation after the match. Trent Seven, his partner from Mustache Mountain, and Pete Dunne came out to check on him. Really cool moment here to end the show. Great stuff. So overall, I give the NXT TakeOver UK pay-per-view a solid A. You know, the first match and the women's match were decent. Maybe if I don't know why they did 6 matches. I think 5 would have been better. You know, I like the regular NXT format of just doing 5 matches. You know, they did 6 here, and, you know, it was a longer show than the other takeovers, about 3 hours. Usually they run at about 2.5, but solid A for me. I mean, almost a perfect show. Almost. Michael Wayne gives it an A. Kev Dog gives it an A. Christopher Mace gives it an A-. Israel Diaz gives it an A. So yeah, I mean, I would be surprised if somebody watched this show and did not enjoy it. And as somebody who, again, is a casual viewer, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great show, and very easy to watch. Lots of fun. Colin Andrew gives it an A. Ernie Eastman also with an A. A+ from Rude Ben 503. So pretty solid reviews across the board for this show. You could probably skip the first match and the women's match, even though there was a title change. So maybe, I guess, watch it for that. But yeah, pretty much the whole show was noteworthy. And I watched this show, and I'm thinking to myself, this is Triple H's way of saying, your move, AEW. Let's see what you got. AEW, what you got? That's what Triple H is saying to them. I think this was definitely Triple H and the NXT UK locker room, their way of going out there and saying, we're the best wrestling on the planet. So yeah, we'll see what AEW can do. I will be back later tonight. I mean, it's crazy. This was quite the day already and a very lengthy stream here. I'm going to be back later tonight to recap AEW, and stay tuned to NoDQ.com for play-by-play results coverage. NoDQ.com. Mike B with a $5 super chat, so congratulations. Mike B, you were the brand new, reigning, and defending NoDQ UK, German, Italy, Greece, Netherlands, Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, Cleveland, Ohio, Super Chat champion of the world. And he says, Anaconda Vice in honor of CM Punk. There you go. Mike B with the Anaconda Vice to defeat the NXT team. 3 people held the championship, but Mike B is Mike B and he's a boss. So therefore, Mike B, you are the new NoDQ Super Chat champion. Again, NoDQ.com/merch. Pick up a hat, pick up a shirt, 21% off using the code Labor Day. One word, Labor Day. Colin Andrew with a $5 super chat says, Virtue and I are your new 6-time co-European 24/7 super chat champions. Cheeseburgers for everyone. Ken I has a cheeseburger. By the way, if you like cats, go to my personal channel, youtube.com/AaronRift, where you can check out some amazing cat videos. Cat hisses at Justin Bieber. Cat hates Donald Trump. Lots of interesting videos on there. So go over to youtube.com/AaronRift to check out my personal channel with cat videos, travel videos, all sorts of fun videos. Go over there, youtube.com/AaronRift. So on that note, I will go ahead and wrap up this video. Hopefully I have enough voice for later tonight to recap AEW. I'll see you guys later tonight. Thank you all for watching. And hold on, Mike B with a $5 super chat says, cat paw smack to win. Ouch. The cat paw smack to Colin Andrew and Virtue to regain the prestigious, ever so prestigious, NoDQ Super Chat Championship of the world. Thank you guys so much.